All right, so I have this question here from Taiwo. And Taiwo is saying, I listened to your podcast where you talk about love and insecurity, where you directed us to First Corinthians 13. I have a girlfriend who has not been who have known her to be lately. I have talked to her about it several times, but she still repeats the same thing and keeps saying she loves me. For months now, if I don't call her, she would not be bothered to call as well, claiming she doesn't have call credit. Another thing is that she is too negligent. I'm not interested in talking about it any longer, so it wouldn't be like I always complain. I decided to stop calling or texting her for weeks now, and she hasn't called or texted as well. My thinking now is to just break up with her. Sir, could that be love? I need clarity, please. Thank you. All right, thank you very much for this question, Taiwo. This is a good question Taiwo has asked, and thank you for being vulnerable enough to bring this question here. So Taiwo has this girlfriend that has not been the person he has known. Now, I wish Taiwo could give more context to some of the things he has said here. Not being the person you have known. So the truth is that we don't know how long you've known this person, how long you've been in this relationship, because somebody telling you they can't call you from some restriction, whether it's call credit or after 3 years of dating, is different from someone telling you that after 3 months of dating. That could be there's a world of difference. So we have no context to how young or how old this relationship is. I wish I had more context. There's a place where you said she's also negligent. That's also a blanket statement. It is there's no context. What do you mean by being negligent? What does that mean? So it would be good to have some context. But based on what you've asked so far, I would try to advise you as much as possible. Now, in my advising you, I cannot tell you what to do with your girlfriend. I cannot tell you, but then I'll just just talk from a pretty objective viewpoint here about relationships, and I want you to take from it what you can. But I can't tell you what to do with your girlfriend because I can't tell you you're wrong or you're right. The truth of the matter is, if you're calling somebody, the person is not calling back and telling you they don't have call credit, it could be like there's some apathy in your relationship. And apathy is the worst thing that could happen in a relationship. Apathy is the death of relationship. There's no emotion. She doesn't, whether you call, you don't call, it doesn't make any sense. She doesn't love you, she doesn't hate you. She just doesn't feel anything. It's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing to recover from. Apathy in any relationship, whether in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship or in a marriage relationship. It's the sign of death. Sign of death where there's no feeling. They don't care. You are cheating, they are not cheating, it doesn't matter to them. Just go on with your life. Let me go on with my life. And then in the end, she just expects you to fall off naturally when you get tired and frustrated enough. But then, the thing is, I don't see apathy. I honestly don't see apathy. Number one, a girl that wants you to fall off naturally will not even bother giving you a good excuse or saying she doesn't have call credit. She will just tell you, I've been busy, I don't have time, I forgot, that kind of thing, just uninterested, totally uninterested. She doesn't sound uninterested. She has given you a reason, which we will come to, that she doesn't have call credit. That doesn't sound like someone that has apathy towards the relationship. I don't think so. I don't think she has apathy towards the relationship. The second thing is someone that has apathy towards the relationship will not continue to tell you she loves you. She knows that she's tying herself down to you. So if she doesn't love you anymore, she will just be tight-lipped about saying that. She's not going to tell you she loves you. She wouldn't tell you she loves you if she wants you to fall off. She wouldn't give you any glimmer of hope. She would just expect you to just shrivel and die from a lack of love. So she won't tell you she loves you. Even if you tell her you love her, she'll probably say you thank you and just go. You understand that kind of thing? So I don't think your girlfriend has a disinterest in you. I actually don't think so. Number one, she's giving you a reason, whether it's a true or a good reason. That's what you need to think about. And then she's telling you she loves you. Whether that's true or not, that's you are the only one that can say that. You're the only one that should have the discernment enough to know when you're loved or not loved. You understand? No, I can't say that. I don't believe anybody has a right to say that. It's you. I believe you're grown enough to know when you are loved and when you're not. And this way I have to come to, it doesn't really matter who is calling. And I say really matter. It matters sometimes. Do you understand? So I understand where you're coming from, where you feel you're the only one putting into this relationship, you're the only one calling, only one making the first move. Yes. But when I say really matter, is when the person has now given you a reason, such as a restriction to maybe not having enough funds to call you. That's a reality. You understand? I cannot totally identify with it, and I'll be very honest with you, where to say I am broke to the level whereby I cannot afford call credit at all. It's never something I've ever been through since the invention of a phone. Never. You understand? Never. And that's because when the phone came out, I was out of university and I had some money with me. You understand? At least some money to buy call credit. So I don't know, but now, but I know it's a possibility, especially with the economy these days. It's a possibility for someone not to have enough credit for data. It is possible. I've had people tell me, look, Mr. Tola, you're sending too many voice notes, and I have to just take one day in the month to just buy some credit to listen to all your voice notes. For those people, voice notes are too expensive. Too much data, they cannot afford it. So they just take one day in a month to say, I will give this out of respect to Mr. Tola to just listen to his voice notes. I don't understand what that is. If someone tells me a 1 hour voice note, I do not think of financial implications, to be honest with you. I'm not saying I am wealthy, but then, I have not come to that place whereby a voice note is too expensive, no matter how long it is for me to listen to. You understand what I'm saying? So, I feel this way. There must be some empathy on your path too. You must have some empathy. And if she says she doesn't have call credit, you must know her enough to understand what her financial situation is. And don't think too much about yourself and saying, but I'm calling, I'm stuff like that. But does she have the means? I am not a big fan of exchange of money while you're in a relationship. Obviously, people don't have a problem with that. I didn't grow up that way. You understand? Where you are sending money to your girlfriend and she's put on an allowance. Obviously, that's a thing now, girlfriend allowance. I think it's a very dangerous thing to do, very dangerous precedents to set. It's very, you understand? But then people are cool with it. I'll probably talk about that in another podcast. But then for you and your girlfriend, you understand, you need to accommodate her more, and that's where love comes in. If you can afford to call. It's not about who calls first. It's about how the call goes. That's a greater indication of apathy than who calls first. So when you call her, how does the call go? Does she sound excited to listen to you? To have you call? Is she excited to tell you about her day, even though she was not the one that prompted the call? Does she have that emotion or does she give that not wanting you to end the call? Those things are more important than who called first. I believe that you guys should get to a level whereby you get on a call and in the end you're like, you can't remember who called. Like, did I call? Did you call? Who called? I'm not sure whose credits we are running right now. And this way I feel like a lot of people are getting into relationships to boost their esteem. Where you have somebody who is not a whole person getting in a relationship with another person who is not a whole person, and everybody getting in a relationship because they want to be filled by the other person. So the attention your parents didn't give you, you want her to give you. The attention your friends don't give you, want her to give you. The respect people don't give you, want your girlfriend or your boyfriend to give you. You understand? So you have no self-awareness. I'm not saying you have no self-awareness, Taiwo. I'm just saying this is something I see with a lot of people where they go into a relationship to build their esteem. And if you go into a relationship to build your esteem, you start noticing things like they don't call, I'm always the one calling. They don't pay, I'm always the one paying. They don't initiate stuff, I'm always the one. You understand? Because you went into the relationship so that you can feel like somebody. So you always notice everything they do that is not something towards you. That is not something given towards you. But I feel a relationship, we should be more about giving, pouring out ourselves. And so when you're a full person, a whole person, you're just thinking about just who to pour into. You understand? So I believe that self-identity is very important. Self-clarity is very important. If you don't have self-clarity, you hope to find it in somebody. You hope to find it in somebody. And to be honest with you, when I started dating my wife, I didn't have, I will be honest, I wasn't like totally clear on who I was. That's the truth. So I struggled. I understand where you're coming from. I struggled with that too myself. Is she calling? Am I calling? Am I calling too much? Why can't she call me? So you see, there was some insensitivity to, you are out of school. She's a student. She's managing her money. You understand? So I was like, you call me more too, and stuff like that. Because I wanted someone that made me feel like somebody. You understand? I wanted someone to make me feel like somebody. And so when I'm talking to her and she's sounding down, my wife now, who was my girlfriend then, she's sounding down, I'll be annoyed that she's sounding down instead of being empathetic. And they'll be, why are you sounding down? I'm calling you, you're not even, cheering up, you're not even talking, you're not even doing this, But what I really need to do is find out what's wrong, what happened during your day. And maybe she's tired, but it's that selfish end. Don't be tired. Give me the attention. Talk to me. After the call, you can go and be tired. But then, we need to grow up. You understand? We need to grow up. So I think for you, Taiwo, you really need to investigate more than who is calling and think about the quality of the call. How does she sound? Is she still sharing? That's the most important thing. Not whether she calls first. You don't want her to be calling out of obligation. Out of Taiwo will get annoyed if I don't call, so I might as well just call. The thing is, when you guys are on the phone together, forget who called first. Is she still sharing what's going on in her life with you? Is she still sharing? There is the connection. It's not the call going through that is the connection. It is what you talk about in those few minutes or those hours of you talking. Is she still sharing? Is she still vulnerable? You understand? Is she still laughing to your jokes that are not so funny? You understand? Those are the things that are important. Those are the things that are important. So you need to learn to see things from her side. Not always, no, from your side. I know how we can feel when you're like feeling you're the only one giving. But then it might be the fact that she really doesn't have any call credit. It might be. When I was in Canada, in a relationship with my wife then, we're still courting. But then I called 99% of the time. Because it was very expensive. Remember, there was no social media, no WhatsApp call. I had to get a card, which I will have to walk in the cold weather to go and get a call card. Some of it $5, $10, and I will use that card to call the whole week. It was uncomfortable. It was seriously uncomfortable, especially in winter, to go and get those cards. Sometimes those cards are not available. I have to go to another shop and try to find it. I was the one doing most of the calling because it was way too expensive for her as a student to be making those international calls. So I had to be the one calling. I just had to understand that it wasn't about who was calling first. It was about keeping communication alive. There were a lot of people who I went to Canada with, who were Nigerians, who also had relationships. A lot of them did not, their relationships did not survive. A lot of them are in Canada now, married to a Nigerian Canadian, a white Canadian and stuff. But a lot of us went to Canada with somebody we were dating here. But they didn't survive because they focused on those things like, you don't call me, I don't call you, and stuff like that. Who is calling more? Who is doing this? No, I didn't focus on stuff like that. I realized my wife couldn't afford to call me then. So I was always the one calling. And so, but it was sometimes it got pretty annoying when I would take, that going out in the snow to buy a card to call her, and then she's sounding moody. I'm like, come on, my card is running out here. $5. I'm not working, oh. You understand? This is my pocket money I'm using to call you, and you're being moody, and I'm having to, trying to force information out of you. But then at the point, I needed to come to that place that if that was the cost of getting her out of that moodiness, that was the cost. I was not, because I was taking some extra steps to call her, feel entitled to her not to being a human being. You understand? That had bad days, sad days, long days. You understand? So we have to come to that understand, that maturity. I feel one thing, I think you guys need to have a conversation, because one thing you wrote in your message that strikes me is this: I think I'm going to call it off, without a conversation. I think that's not right. You understand? And where one person feels I have the power to just call it off, I don't think so. I think you should have a conversation about calling it off. That's the most respect you can have for each other. Even if the relationship is not working anymore, you realize it's apathy. When you talk, there is no connection, no sharing, no this. You have actual proof that she doesn't love you anymore. I don't think we should have that attitude to relationships that I am calling it off. No, I don't think that's respectful. I don't think so. A lot of people do it just, okay, I don't think I want to do this thing anymore. That's very disrespectful, and that's very hurting. That's very stinging to the other person. I think you should have a conversation about calling it off and tell her this and this and this. And ask that question: do you think we should end this? Do you think we should end this? Don't just assume that you can end it. Do you think we should end this? Really, tell her, honestly, are you tired of this relationship? Just tell me. It might hurt, but then just tell me. I think I really need to know. Do you think it's best for us to end this relationship? Do you think it's best for us to give ourselves some space, some time? A lot of times, those are last final words. But then you must have that. It shows respect for the person, rather than just saying, "I am thinking of ending it." That's a very tyrannical way of being in a relationship. I will end it. You understand? No. You are both in it right now. Even if you are thinking of ending it, you tell her, I'm actually thinking of ending it. I'm thinking of it. I'm thinking of it. You understand? What are you thinking? What do you think about that? You understand? It might be a very uncomfortable conversation, but it's a respectful conversation. So those are my thoughts, Taiwo. I think if it's about, I don't have enough context to give better advice, but I think I've given you good enough advice. I feel if it's about who calls first, that's not a good enough reason. It's not always a good enough reason. You understand? Who calls first? Yes, it could be a good reason. It could be signs of apathy. A lot of times, those are the initial signs of apathy, a lack of communication. That's why you need to listen to her more than watch the actions of her not calling. When you call, how does she sound? How does she sound? What does she share? You understand? And then you must get to that place to just ask her what's going through her mind, rather than just saying you are not calling. Is there something wrong? Is there something wrong? Are you going through something? Are you having a challenge? Is it me? Have I done something wrong? You must also ask, are you feeling smothered in this relationship? Am I not giving you enough space? Are you tired of the relationship? Are you tired? You understand? Ask this question. But if she's saying, I love you, you need to respect that. Someone who doesn't love you and wants to end the relationship will not tell you they love you. You understand? They want you to wither away, shrivel away in not being loved and fall off. I'm not getting that emotion or that I'm not getting that from her right now based on what you've written. But then it's up to you. I pray God gives you the wisdom, gives you the patience, gives you the words to communicate with her.